Hello students, welcome to today's lecture. In this class, we will be starting the second unit of Geotechnical Engineering. This second unit is broadly divided into two different phases. In the first phase, we will be talking about the permeability parameter of the soil and the various experiments that are used in order to define the permeability of a soil and what are the various factors that are influencing the permeability property of different types of soils. And in the second phase of this unit, we will be talking about the effective stress principles, and besides talking about this one, we will also be talking about how seepage will influence the various properties of soil. So to begin with our lecture, in this class we will be talking about the first topic, which is based on soil water. Now in order to understand the soil water concept, we all know that in any different type of soil, certain amount of water will be present. Okay, irrespective of the type of soil, this kind of soils will possess certain amount of water. And when certain amount of water is available in a soil, it plays a very important role in defining the various properties of a soil. And besides defining the properties of soil, it also influences the stability of the structures. Now our concept is how the water is going and accumulating in the given soil sample. So for this, you need to understand the definitions of porosity and void ratio. So here, for any type of soil sample, if it is not fully compacted, this soil sample will have certain amount of air voids. And in these air voids, when water goes and accumulates the void spaces, such kind of water which is getting stored in the void spaces is called as soil water. So to define soil water can be defined as the amount of water that will accumulate or that will occupy the void spaces which are available in a given soil sample. Now we will see different forms of soil water. Now broadly, these different forms of soil water are classified into two types. The first one is held water and the second one is gravitational water. Again, this held water and gravitational water are broadly divided into two more different types. So held water is further divided into adsorbed water and structural water, whereas gravitational water is again further divided into free water and capillary water. So these are the two different forms of water in which we generally see. Now we will talk about each one of these individually. Now so far we have talked about what do we mean by soil water. The water which is available in the void spaces of a soil sample is called as soil water. Now as we see here, the soil water is broadly divided into the held water and the second one is gravitational water. Now we will talk about what actually gravitational water is. So held water, initially we will begin with held water. So held water is because of the forces of attraction. So whatever the amount of water that is held in a soil sample is because of the forces. Such kind of water which is available because of the attraction forces is called as held water. Similarly, gravitational water is a type of water which is available in a soil sample that flows freely under the gravitational force. So the best example for the gravitational water is the water which is flowing from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. So here you don't find any amount of pressure which is exerting externally. So the water which is flowing from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill is all because of the gravitational force. Such kind of water is called as gravitational water. Now we will talk about the two different types of water which is available in held water. So the first one is adsorbed water. This is the type of water which is available around the particles of a soil sample in the form of very thin layers. Adsorbed water is a type of soil water that is available throughout the circumference of a soil sample, which is in the form of small thin films. Such kind of water is called as adsorbed water. And the second one is structural water. This type of water is chemically combined with the soil particles. So when a certain amount of water is chemically combined with the soil sample or with the soil is called as structural water. Now the next most important aspect is free water. As the name itself says, this is the amount of water which translocates itself by the amount of gravitational force. That means water moving from one place to another place under the influence of gravitational force is called as free water. And the last type of, or the last form of water is capillary water. So this is the type of water which is available in the soil sample because of the capillary action on different types of soils. Now this is how the different forms of soil water are, right? So there are two different types. The first one is held water and the second one is gravitational water. And held water is further divided into adsorbed water and structural water, whereas gravitational water is also further divided into free water and capillary water. Now we will talk about each one of these in a very broad way. Okay. So the first one is hygroscopic water. So what does this mean? So here you can see certain amount of soil samples or the soil particles. The brown color substances are soil particles, and these around these soil particles some amount of water is accumulated in the form of very thin layers. So such kind of water which is available around the circumference of a soil particle in the form of very thin films. You can observe the soil water is very thin film. Such kind of water is called as hygroscopic water. Okay. So usually this hygroscopic water is the amount of water that is available in air dried soil. Okay. So when you observe certain types of soils which are air dried, even though they are air dried, certain amount of moisture will be available in the soil around the soil particles in the form of very thin films. Such kind of water is called as hygroscopic water. So the next one is capillary water. So if you observe capillary water diagram here, the capillary water is not only available around the circumference of the particles, but also it occupied the void spaces which are available in between two soil particles. Right? So that kind of water is called as capillary water or soil solution. Okay. Observe the clear difference between the hygroscopic water and the soil capillary water. What actually the hygroscopic water is doing is, this hygroscopic water is accumulating around the circumference of the soil particles in the form of very thin films, whereas capillary water is not only available around the circumference of the soil particles, but also it is available or it is covering the void spaces. It is going, the water is going and accumulating in the void spaces. Such kind of water is called as capillary water, and such kind of phenomena is called as capillary action. Okay. Now the other important phenomena is it occurs due to the forces of cohesion, adhesion and surface tension. I guess you are all aware of cohesive force and adhesive force and surface tension forces. So however, we will talk about this in the upcoming slides. Okay. So this is the clear-cut difference between the hygroscopic water and the capillary water. Remember, capillary water is also called as soil solution. Now the next important thing is gravitational water. So this gravitational water is mostly available in the void spaces, and this water which is available in the void spaces of a soil particle will flow under its own weight or under its gravitational force, and such kind of water is called as gravitational water. As you can see in the figure, certain amount of blue color substance, all the blue color substance is water. So this water which is in the form of blue color is falling down because of the gravitational force, and this kind of water which is exerting because of the gravitational forces is called as gravitational water. And the next important aspect is this kind of water is largely found in macropores of the soil. That means the larger void spaces which are available in the soil sample, in those macropores or in those larger voids you can find this gravitational water. Okay. So the next important phenomena is the adsorbed water, ADSORBE. Now this is the type of water which is available around the circumference of the soil particle. right? Check down. So this is the amount of water which is available around the circumference of the soil particles, and this water is because of the electrochemical forces that are available in the soil particles. So this adsorbed water is mainly absorbed in clay soils or clayey soils. As we know that clayey soils does possess some electrochemical forces, right? The positive action will be there as well as the negative charge will also be there for soils, for clays. So because of this positive and negative charges for clay, the adsorbed water will be available mostly in clayey type of soils.